Hey everybody, Side Gig Guy here. In today's video, I'm going to discuss the strategies that I use to make the decision on whether to accept or to decline an order on DoorDash. Now, I'm sure everybody has their own strategies that work for them. These are just general guidelines that I use. So whether you're new to DoorDash or whether you've been dashing for years and you've got your own system, I think there's going to be some stuff you can take away from this. And I basically use three strategies that I call the 3Ds, and that's what we'll be discussing in this video. I'll be showing some screenshots from deliveries that I took during Super Bowl Sunday. Also, last week I had the opportunity to have a Zoom conference with two people that work at DoorDash in the engineering department. We talked for over half an hour about various topics relating to the algorithm and closed stores and things like that. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll give you a 1 or 2 minute wrap up on how that conversation went. Okay, let's go. First, some disclaimers. The principles I'm going to outline here should work generally in every zone that you have in the United States. However, all zones are different. So remember that these are just guidelines. Okay, here's our first order. It came in at $11.24 and it's Moe's Southwestern Grill for $9.75 plus. Now remember, the plus means that it's going to be more than $9.75. So take a look at the map. Would you accept this or decline this?
Paint me a picture. The park could develop into a hotspot if it isn't already.
This one's kind of a no-brainer. I accepted this one because it's only 5.4 miles. And that's one of the main things you want to consider. Everybody has a threshold for how many dollars they want to make per mile. My threshold is $1 per mile, but some people want $1.50 per mile or $2 per mile. That's kind of a variable that matters in your zone. That's the first D, dollars per mile. Here's order number 2. Now this was a tricky one because I actually got this one as I was pulling into Moe's to pick up. So this was an add-on or a stacked order. $6 picking up a Jersey Mike sub for an additional 0 feet. Look at the map. Don't believe the 0 feet. So would you accept this one or decline this one?
1 Adam 25, code 3.
You heard the man, all units in the vicinity. Yes, sir.
I accepted this one. And let me tell you why. If you look at the map, you can see where the new pickup and the new destination are. Those are the ones in black. The ones that are in gray are the ones that I've already previously accepted. So I can see that, okay, I'm picking up really close to where I'm already picking up, and I'm going to drop off to the second customer first, and then I'm going to drop off, my second drop will be to the initial order that came in from Moe's. So they really are kind of along the way. So of course I accept this. That's the second D, destination. This to me is the most important thing. Where you are dropping off is absolutely critical to making money with DoorDash. If you take an order and it's a great paying order for the mileage and you end up somewhere else in the middle of nowhere where there's no restaurants and nothing to pick up from, you have to basically turn around and drive back to civilization. By the way, on each of these, there was a hidden tip. The $6 one ended up being $7.50, so it got an extra $1.50. And the one that was the plus for Moe's actually ended up being, instead of $9.75, $16.25. The customer tipped $12.75. Okay, here it is, $13.75. It's Sprouts Farmers Market. It's only going 5.7 miles, so that's way more than $2 a mile. But if you look to the left, you'll see it's 31 items. So, do you accept this or do you decline it? The answer is simple. You decline this offer. Now, there might be people out there that argue with me, but let me explain the logic behind this. There are 31 individual items that will need to be picked up at this. So there's 31 minutes of time it's going to take you to shop alone. Now you have to drive 5.7 miles. So I know that it's going to take at least 10 or 15 minutes of driving time. So you add this all up and you get almost an hour, maybe longer if there's substitutions for the items or you can't find an item. You spend an hour and you're only going to get $13.75. It's just not worth it. You can make more money door dashing. So that's my advice, is that you would decline this offer.
Later.
This one is $6.29 and it's going 7.2 miles. There's a few things that I want to say about this one, but let's ask you first. Would you accept or would you decline?
You know, it's a good thing this job doesn't pay by the call. Yeah.
I wonder if I'm pointing the same way each time. We'll have to see when we run the video back. All right, for me, this was kind of a no-brainer. This was a decline. And for multiple reasons, it was a decline. And let's talk about the third D, because we haven't gotten there. We've talked about destination, where you're going to be dropping off at. That's number one. The second D is distance, the miles that you're going to go for the amount that you're going to get paid. So you have distance, you have destination. The third D is delay. And you know, delay might have applied to the one before that because you're going to get delayed at that supermarket doing all that shopping. Well, Little Caesars Pizza, they're known for not having pizzas ready. So there's going to be a delay here. There's also a distance problem. It goes 7.2 miles for only $6.29. So that's less than $1 a mile. And lastly, it's dropping off pretty far north of where I want to be. I want to be where my little blue dot is there on the map. I don't want to be way up there, which is actually still in the zone, but the better part of the zone is actually the southern part of the zone. So this fails on all three, and of course we decline it. $3.25 to go 4.5 miles, and it's picking up from McDonald's. Do you accept or do you decline? I shouldn't even have to ask on this one. This is a no-brainer. This is a decline. And here's why. McDonald's, you're probably going to have to wait for the order. So now we're down to 74%. I've just declined 3 orders in a row. My top dasher is in jeopardy, but I'm not worried. Okay, next up, at 11:57 a.m., Little Caesars Pizza. 10 miles for $8.75. And look at the map before you decide, are you going to accept or are you going to decline? Yeah, once again, we're going to have to decline. We're getting less than $1 a mile. We're going to get delayed because it's a Little Caesars Pizza. Oh, and oh my gosh, look, it's going way, way, way far away. You know, I'm going to be outside the zone when I drop off. So that's an automatic decline. And now we're down to 73%. We're declining a lot of offers right now. And trust me, that rings in a top dasher's head and they start getting a little bit desperate. Something that I like to do as a strategy is I think about what time of the month it is. If it's the beginning of the month, I can decline a lot more than I can at the end of the month. If I get below 70% or even below 60% and it's at the beginning or the middle of the month, it's not a big deal. I just know that at the end of the month, I'm probably going to have to drive 1 or 2 days and just accept everything. Okay, here's another interesting one. This one I had to think about. This one I was torn with. It's Petco. It says it's an extra small order and it's going 17.3 miles for $10.25. And you can see my blue dot is I'm right next to the store. Do I accept or do I decline? Okay, I was kidding before. This was actually a no-brainer too. I declined this one. And it's for two of the 3 reasons for sure. The distance does not work. It's like way less than $1 a mile. And the destination is going to be way out of my zone. I mean, I'm hopping on the interstate. I'm going to a completely different town. So that's a no-go. But, you know, it probably would have been a quick order. It might have even been something I didn't have to shop for, which is already there and ready to pick up. That's why I like liquor store deliveries. Liquor store deliveries, there's no delay, ever. You just walk in and walk out. Next up is $12. We're picking up at Dairy Queen, and we're driving 6 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? I accept this order. And after I accepted that one, I got this one. This is an interesting add-on stack. It's picking up at Panera Bread, and it's going 2.9 miles for an additional $7.25. Do I accept or do I decline? Note the time on these. It's 12:03 in the afternoon, so we did have that a long stretch of declines in the top of the 11 o'clock hour, but now we're right into the 12 o'clock hour. We accept this one. This one's kind of a no-brainer. As you can see from the grayed out ones, which was the original run, this new order has me picking up almost across the street from the Dairy Queen, and it just has me dropping off a little bit further, another 2.9 miles further out. So I know I'm going to end up outside my zone, but it's okay to, at $2 a mile to drive back a little bit further. Okay, so as you can see from the map, it did drop me out slightly out of my zone, so I'm going to have to double back. But look at the time. It's 12:29. So in about half an hour, I just made 20 bucks. So at that pace, I can handle a little bit of drive time. I'm on my way to making 30 or 40 bucks an hour in this zone. $6, picking up from McDonald's, going 8.2 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? Of course I decline. The miles doesn't work. It's picking up from McDonald's. There's a possible delay. It's dropping off outside the zone too, not too far, but it fails on all three of my D's: distance, destination, and delay. So we don't pick it up. $6.98 picking up at Papa John's and going 3.8 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? This is one that I would accept. It's no problem. It makes the mileage. Papa John's is usually fairly efficient. The destination isn't great, but it's not completely way out of the zone. It's still worth it for the miles and for the money. Always factor in all three. Don't make a harsh decision right off the bat if something doesn't make the miles, because it might still be something that you can pick up and it can drop you right near a whole bunch of places that are real busy. If that's the case, why not take it? Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is Mellow Mushroom picking up for $16 and going 8 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? Most of these have been pretty easy so far. I accept this one. I'm getting paid nearly $2 a mile. It's dropping off in my zone. I don't know much about Mellow Mushroom because this isn't my zone. I don't know if I'm going to have to wait or not, but I did go there and I accepted it, and I waited probably about 5 or 6 minutes. All right, let's take a look at the next one. It's $10.50 picking up at the Daily Grind and going 11.9 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? I did decline this one. This one does almost make my mileage threshold, but once again, it doesn't though. It's less than $1 a mile. I know there's not going to be a delay here. This place is usually pretty good. I'm usually in and out. However, where it's dropping me off at is once again outside the zone. So I really got to count on driving all the way out there for less than $1 a mile and then driving all the way back before I start to get anything. So I'm really not making any money on that. $8.50 picking up at Kale Me Crazy, and it's going 3.5 miles. Do I accept or do I decline? I accept this one. You can see where I'm at, the little blue dot, in relationship to the store. So I know that I'm maybe driving half a mile to get to the store and then another 3 miles to drop off. Now that 3 miles is going to take me out of the zone, but I'm making $8.50, so that's well over $2 a mile. What can I do as another way to work in DoorDash is I'll dash along the way to my zone. So I set that up and I got an order almost right off the bat. Let me show it to you. So this is a tricky one. This was a really hard one for me to decide on. It's $5.25 to go 8 miles, picking up at Baskin-Robbins. Do I accept or do I decline? Now before I answer, let me give you a little caveat piece of information. The destination is where I want to go. That's taking me halfway to my house if I pick up this order. Even though I'm only getting paid $5.25, at least I'm not driving home with, empty, making no money. So I'm letting that factor in, but I still declined it. And here's why. This is just something that I feel is kind of abuse. The system knows that I'm going there, and so it's going to lowball me. So I declined it, I guess not according to the 3 Ds, but just on kind of principle alone. I just thought I deserved to be a better offer. So that's the only reason I declined it. I let my emotion get ahead of me, which I probably shouldn't have done. Maybe. We'll see. Now I'm going to go down to 69%. So I continue dashing along the way home. Al G's Liquor Store, $11 to go 15 miles. Once again, it doesn't make the mileage. Do I accept or do I decline? This one I accepted. This one I accepted for a couple of reasons. Even though it didn't make the mileage, it's much less than $1 per mile. It's so on the way to my house. I don't want to actually tell you where I live, but where the destination, the drop-off is at there, it's like 2 miles away from my house. So this one totally works. And so I did accept this. When I closed out, it was a no-tipper. It was $11 of base pay. So DoorDash has actually paid me to drive that additional mileage instead of paying me $2.50 with no tip. I got a relatively good offer, even though I was outside my zone. This is kind of that thing I always like to tell people about Top Dasher. It seems to me that since I've been Top Dasher, I will get rewarded in such a way with an order that has very high base pay, especially when there's no tip involved. I had to drive 15 miles, so they paid me $11. I would feel like in this case, I was much more fairly compensated. Okay, so the key question here is, how much did I make and how long did I work? Here's the earnings for that period of time. I started at 11:12 in the morning and I quit at 2 o'clock. This doesn't include that $11 run that I did on the way home. So I made $74.48 in that period of time, making only 7 deliveries. So in my opinion, for 2 hours and 48 minutes of total time, not just active time, $74, you do the math, that's good money. Okay, so like I said earlier in the video, I talked to 2 people via Zoom that actually work at DoorDash. They got in contact with me after I posted something on their engineering blog about closed stores. But this is what was interesting. The 2 individuals worked specifically in a department at DoorDash called Dasher Experience. In other words, when I tried to quiz them on how the algorithm works and how the revenue system works, they just answered flatly, not their department. And they were so concerned about my experience and my feelings with regards to when things would go wrong. Like, for example, long lines at the drive-thru in the late evening, or closed stores. How did I feel when I had to drive a long way only to find out that the store was closed? I think after talking to the people at DoorDash via Zoom, you could tell that they were sincerely interested in the customer experience and the Dasher experience and the merchant's experience. But sometimes it's just hard to solve for these things. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, click the like button to indicate that you liked it. And if you like the content that you're seeing on my channel, please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget the 3 Ds of when you accept or decline an offer. This might just be common sense for some of you, but for any new Dashers or for somebody whose strategy just isn't working, don't always look at dollars per mile, or don't always just look at certain restaurants, or don't always just look at where you're going to drop off. Take all of those things into consideration before you accept or decline. Psychic Guy out.